Listening audience on VON Radio. Good to be here again.
All right, Doc. So today we are celebrating this week World Kidney Week, and the Renal Society has been doing a lot of activities to celebrate World Kidney Week, and Dr. Labert is here to share a little bit of that activity with us tonight.
Yes, and so the second Thursday in March annually is celebrated as World Kidney Day. So that was last Thursday, the 14th of March. And the Sunday prior, we had a church service at the St. George's Anglican Church, where those members who were available turned out. I think I counted about 10 of us who were there to, give the Lord thanks and take part in that act of worship to, let us know that God is in the midst of all our human activities, and to get His guidance and to follow His plan, because He has made a plan for this human body, right? Mm-hmm. And we from the Renal Society want to understand that plan and to share it with you, the listening audience, that He gave us 2 kidneys for good reason, right? Mm-hmm. So that we always have enough capacity to handle the challenges that this human body will face. Okay, so that was a Sunday. Mm-hmm. And then on the Thursday we were in the square giving out information, interacting with the passers-by and letting them know that we exist as a group and what we are about. And one person who was there came today, which should have been a regular monthly meeting, to sign up as a member, but because of all the intensity of the week so far, the meeting was cancelled and
postponed.
Postponed, yeah. And Tuesday we were at the Four Seasons Resort doing a health fair, and we screened over 60 persons that day, members of staff. Yeah,
that's a big number there.
And picked up quite a few persons with problems with their pressure and their blood sugar, and of course their weight. Mm-hmm. Those are the risk factors, hypertension, diabetes, obesity, for kidney diseases. So I'll take a pause.
So you'd say the screening is very important.
Very important, yeah.
Yeah, we got a few people identified that we could help treat now.
Yes.
In the early stages of detection.
Yeah, prevention, early detection is important.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
Like in most health conditions, some are silent, and you only know they exist by awareness, and you go looking for them. Mm-hmm. And those 3 prime killers are damagers of kidney: hypertension, diabetes, and obesity is a common link as a precursor.
The NCDs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we have to be aware that your pressure can be running high and you don't know. Mm-hmm. The same thing for the blood sugar, until they reach a point where they have done enough damage and something suddenly snapped. You say, oh my gosh, what's going on here? Mm-hmm. And when you look, the kidneys have been failing big time.
You haven't even been realizing that.
Yeah.
Years now.
So don't wait till you get the fatigue and the breathlessness, the swollen feet, the puffy eyes, mm-hmm. the funny taste in your mouth, all that,
Now the urge to urinate excessively. Mm-hmm.
Those are some of the signs of advanced disease, but the early stages, hardly any signs, just abnormal blood tests and normal blood pressures, So.
And again, that's why screening is important. That's why we need to always at least check annually if you don't have any kind of medical conditions. If you have diabetes, how long, Doc?
Well, it does not matter how long it is, the severity of it,
Mm-hmm.
because the longer the sugars stay high, within months, years, you could begin to see damages because it's a membrane damage condition, And I tell people that blood sugar is like tar on your floor, right, in your carpet. Mm-hmm. It sticks on to the membranes, stuff, to the proteins in the body, and that's how it does the damage. So if you clean it up quickly, then it won't have time to do any damage, any permanent damage,
So early detection, prevention, early intervention, the best solutions for these non-communicable diseases.
You keep yourself hydrated. manage your electrolyte balance. I mean, the replay, because the whole late was telling us
Right
about
there, yeah,
the
electrolyte
balance.
Take me back to physiology right there.
Yeah, the potassium, the sodium, that they are important in the working of the body, and so we need to keep them in balance. And the kidney does a good job at that. But
A perfect job.
yeah,
And you said we had 2.
exactly.
So, I mean, we don't need 2, but we have 2. So
Yes.
we have a spare one.
We have enough capacity to handle most challenges that will come in the body, and if one goes down, God forbid, then the other one. Or if you're generous and altruistic, you could donate one to somebody who need a transplant. you know.
Very important.
Yeah, and quite a few people have been doing that now. We have live-related donors for people who have kidney failure, that a family member, once they've been matched appropriately, can give a kidney of love, a gift of love to a relative. And you could live a good, long, healthy life with one kidney. And that practice has been well established.
So going back to the divine plan again.
Yeah.
So one to spare in case you need it, and then one to spare in case somebody else needs it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. God is good.
So I mean, we have 2 eyes, 2 lungs, 2 kidneys, 2 limbs on either side, People have lived with 1 limb, and survive, so we could survive on 1 kidney quite well,
So they're doing transplants. Where do they do transplants in the Caribbean?
Well, all the big centers, Barbados, Trinidad, Jamaica, I think they do live related donors. I remember about 30 years ago when I was working in Barbados, over 30 years ago, they did the first kidney transplant, and I was privileged to be part of that team, when I was doing my anesthetic training way back then, I think they've done transplanting in Antigua and Tortola as well, in talking with Dr. Twits.
What about us?
Maybe coming soon. If everything fall in place, it can be done here.
Right? Yeah, a lot of us need that attention at home, because going away is kind of expensive for medical care.
I mean, we have the surgical expertise, we have the lab support up to a certain extent, we have the anesthesia intensive care framework, which needs some strengthening, but we can handle that once everybody put their hand together and put their head together and begin to plan around that objective. It can be done.
Lovely.
All of us went to the same school that those in the metropoles went to. We read the same books, studied the same problems, so it's just a matter of getting the technology in St. Kitts and Nevis. And I think Dr. Ju did mention that there was a meeting sometime last year where they were working with a team from the UK or something about that. They were looking at the logistics of having it done at JNF in the very near future. So the discussion has started locally.
That's great.
At high levels of the politics making. So once the interest is there, I'm sure things will fall in place eventually.
Great. I'm glad to hear that, and we need more at-home things going on here. We're capable of a lot as a nation. So
definitely. I mean, I said that before we came home, I was working with cardiac transplant, cardiac surgery back in the UK. So the knowledge is there. You need some brushing up, but that's not too hard to acquire the skill. And of course, the younger generation will be well in tune, are there to take over.
Coming up to the latest. Yeah. So now, in the meantime, while we wait on the transplant thing here in St. Kitts and Nevis, another important thing is dialysis for the renal patients. So what do you think the status is of the dialysis here for them?
Don't get me started. For me that is a very painful subject here in Nevis.
Well, let's keep it clean then. Let's keep it clean.
Well, keep it clean, but you can't deny the realities that. I tell people that dialysis is just a glorified infusion pump that passes the blood across a filter, filtration membrane with a counter-current osmotic filter, to clean the blood. But it's basically you pumping the blood around and around the circuit several times, several hours, to get it filtered. So it's a glorified infusion system, but that does a special function, right? So So if you break it down at that simple conceptual framework, then you realize that there's no mystique to it. And once you understand the technicalities, then we're good to go. And I say that if two lay persons who are not health professionals, but with the understanding, can be trained to manage a dialysis in the private home, and did it fairly well for over 7 years, right here in Nevis.
Okay.
You was in Pampers then, Tivon.
How time ago then?
Between 1991 and 1997, that happened here in Nevis,
Okay.
And so that technology has been around that long, and it was done here in Nevis way back then, and that is the drive that led to the Women's Society being formed back in 1999. Because after that patient transitioned to the other sphere of life, that machine was, what will we do with it? It was supposed to be given to the system, but there will have to be other things in place as a public service, and so we dropped the ball as a country, as a people. The health system could have very well take up the mantle and carried on that what was pioneered in the private space and bring it in the public domain where more people could have benefit of it, right? But the ball was dropped. But the Human Society has been around to keep that flame alight that it is possible right here in Nevis. And you know what? Things have gone ahead of us because the authorities there saw the need eventually, because they started doing peritoneal dialysis there, and then the numbers kept getting greater and greater because it's a burden of care which won't go away. It's a burden of care. 10 to 20% of the population have diabetes and or hypertension, and so that funnel that is driving the epidemic of kidney failure is not going away until we could control or eliminate those two conditions. And so after several years of doing peritoneal dialysis, St. Kitts took the brave step and introduced hemodialysis. And now the current Prime Minister is talking about transplant, because once you do it well, you save that problem of having to be hooked up to a machine for 3 to 4 hours 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah, that's a way better solution to me.
Yeah. If the transplant it works, then you get that freedom of care, and say life-related donation of kidneys, well established practice, and the suppression is less than if you're doing cadaveric transplant.
That's true.
Yeah, because you're almost matched genetically with life donors.
Well, one day we're looking at it for one day.
I said the problem won't go away, so we got to have a comprehensive care package. Prevention to recovery to tertiary care, with replacement therapy, right? And so we can't force that you will eat grass all our life, that we will save our kidneys. Some quirk of nature in terms of allergies or toxic reaction, or somebody will just fall to the crack every now and then, and we just have to have that plan in place for. But while you're waiting for transplant, you have to be dialyzed. So you need that as a fail-safe backup for the transplant system. So whatever we do, it has been here, it has kept people alive for 30 years in some cases or more, and so it's a technology that has been perfected, and people have it in their home, in the outer world, that you can have your own machine at home. So you don't have to be hooked to a health facility.
So in the meantime, also to not get to the stage of dialysis, we emphasize in prevention.
Yeah, and that's why we have these week of activities too. The public campaign to screen the population to get them early, because at the silent stages we could tell you, well, your sugar is running high, your A1C is over 7%, your pressure is over 160 over 85, and so you need to pay attention and bring it down to between 130 over 80 or lower, for your blood pressure readings, and keep your A1C under 6.5%. if you reach 7% with the hemoglobin A1C, ask the doctor about it when you go see the doctor again, right?
Please.
What is hemoglobin A1C? That is the parameter that gives you the propensity to tell you the damage to the end organs. So all diabetics must have an A1C done at least every 3 months.
That's the timeline, every 3 months.
Every 3 months, yeah, once you're diabetic. Other people can have it done once a year, every 6 months, as the case might be, you know. But for diabetics to know your control, the hemoglobin A1C is a very, very useful test, and I want to recommend it to my peers, my colleagues in the trade, that order it more often, you know, because we get some good surprises and we could begin to intervene at earlier stages.
All right, ask about A1C next visit.
Yeah.
All right. So out of all the options, that sounds like the best one to me, the prevention stage.
Prevention, yeah. And test your urine, man. Protein in your urine, blood in the urine, cast in the urine. I mean, cast signifies sloughing of the epithelium and coagulation within the urinary tubule, which will block up these tubules. So you start seeing cast in your urine, then you know that there's some glomerular damage being done. You know, so cast, you were looking foamy. You said, you know, your part looking very foamy. I mean that the protein is building up in the urine.
All right.
So simple test like that. When you were speaking about the clear, the color of the urine, whether it is yellow or clear, like water, you know. So when you see you looking yellow, you're becoming dehydrated.
Exactly.
You gotta keep drinking more water, more fluid, you know.
No, and it's hotter these days as well, so we need to start drinking more to keep up with the summer heat. All right, so thank you, Dr. Leibert, for coming and sharing all that information with us.
It's a pleasure, you know.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, and the Women's Society is looking to do greater things. This year we want to have an educational component for the membership, which we want to offer to the
general
public, and we recruit members to that mechanism. We educate you and then you become a member. Yeah, so we'll be launching that program sometime soon.
Nothing better than free education.
Yeah.
All right. So
yeah, well, that's really.
Thank you very much, Dr. Leibert.
Go back quickly and having fun.
I know, right? That's our time tonight, everyone. So thank you for tuning in, and you have a great evening.
You were just listening to Health Talk, sponsored by the Nevis Renal Society in collaboration